Hi, and welcome to this video on how to complete a linear regression in your calculator, in your TI-84. Okay, so I'm going to pull up these. If you watched the last video, you saw me create a scatter plot in Excel, and then you also saw me draw the trend line. And so what I told you was that the equation that you get from Excel is not as nice of an equation as you're going to get from your calculator. Your calculator is way more accurate. It has a completely different method of calculating the trend line, and there's several ways that you can do it. And so your calculator uses a better methodology in order to complete that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our stat editor. That's the first thing that we want to do. And so we want to go to stat, and then you want to choose edit. And so I'm going to choose enter. Okay, so if there's something there, remember that you clear it out. You can clear it out by taking your arrow up to highlight the column, and which should be L1. You don't want to hit delete. What you want to hit is clear, because delete will delete the whole column, but you don't want to do that. You just want to delete the data that's there. So hit clear and then arrow down. And then you're going to do the same thing to L2, so right arrow over, and then hit your up arrow, hit clear, not delete, and then arrow back down. Okay, so right now you have two empty columns. So the L1 will be your X value, and the L2 you will assume is your Y value. So basically your time since 1980, and the cost will be your years. Okay, so for this, you can see over here that I have the same data points that I used in the other video. However, I don't want to put 2000, 2001, 2016 in my calculator, because that's a lot of data for my calculator to handle. Those are big numbers. And since it's using such an intricate method to calculate it, what you want to do is reset these numbers so that the X values are simple and easy to find on your graph, and plus you don't want your graph shifted way out. So instead of using 1980, I'm going to set 0 as 2001. So that means that 2001 will be year 1. I'm going to set 0 as 2000, excuse me. So that means that 2001 will be year 1, 2002 will be year 2, so that's 2 years since 2000, and 2006 will be 6 years out, and then 7 years, and then 10 years, and 2000, I don't know if this is supposed to be 2009, perhaps this one should be 2009, and that one should have been 2010. I think that's what it should have been. Okay, and these are hypothetical numbers anyway, so, all right, so then this would make this one 9 instead of 10, and then this one would actually be 10. Okay, so then I have 11, and then 13. Basically, it's just however many years since 2000. So 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so I have all my data. So instead of using the actual year, I'm going to use just the year since a set point. Okay, so if your data only goes back to 2000 or to the 2000s, then use that. If your data goes back to the 1990s, then you'd probably use 1990 as your starting point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hide this because we don't really need it anymore. So I'm just going to hide this for now. Okay, and then I'm going to move this out. I'm not going to need any of these titles because I'm putting it in the calculator anyway. So your calculator will just show L1 and L2. You don't really have any fancy titles for your columns. It's kind of boring. Okay, so what you want to put in are the number of years past your starting year. So that's 1, and then that's going to be 2, and then 6. And it's going to take me a little more time to put it here. And then 7, and then 9, 10, and you probably can't see my calculator because it's down a little bit. And then 11, and 13, and 14, and 15, and 16. Okay, so entering data shouldn't really be foreign to you guys because we did it when we were actually doing our one variable statistics, our descriptive statistics unit in Unit 5. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting in the tuition value. So that's 8,000. You have to hit enter after each one. 9,500. And then 10,200. Okay, make sure you put it in right because it's really annoying to have to go back and re-enter it. So 10,500. and 11,500, 13,000, 16,000, 16,700, 17,000, 19,500, okay, and so it looks like I may be, let's see, let's make sure I'm not one short. Okay, so I don't have an entry, so that means I must have forgotten one somewhere. So this was, let me make sure I don't have a double number somewhere. As I said, it's really annoying to go back and try to find where your mistake is. But let's go up. So we had 1 year after 2000, 2 years after 2000, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So that means I'm missing a tuition point somewhere. So we know that 19,500 should go here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that there, and then I'm going to go up and change this one to what it should be. 15 should be 17,000, and maybe I'll find my mistake along the way. Okay, so it's not there. So the next one should be 16,700, which means the next one should be 16,000. Still haven't found the mistake yet. And the next one should be 13,000. And 11,500. And if you're watching the video and you already have your numbers in correctly, you can just fast forward through this part. And then 10,500. I don't remember if I entered that one in. That might be the missing one. We go up. Nope, that one's there. 10,200. And then that one's already there too. Where did I make the mistake? That's interesting. So we have 9,500. That one's already there. 8,600. And 8,000 is the first one. Okay, so it looks like everything, I must have made the mistake very early at 8,600. Okay, that was really annoying, but if you're watching, hopefully you fast forwarded through this part and you can skip until we get here. Okay, so we have all of our data. One way to make sure is that if you have, just want to point out that if you have 10 or 11, however many data points that you have for your L1, you should have the same amount of data points for your L2. So that's how you know you made a mistake already. If you don't, then the calculator is going to tell you that it's a mix match, and so it's going to tell you that you made a mistake. Okay, so sorry for the length of this video. Hopefully you fast forward through it. So now we're going to go to stat, and we're going to go to, actually before I do that, I want to go to zoom graph. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to graph my data points, but before I go to zoom graph, I need to make sure that my plotter is on. So I'm going to go to second y equals, and you can see that my plotter is off. And so I'm going to hit enter to go into the plotter. And then you see where it says off is highlighted. What I want to do is go back over to on and then hit enter. And what that will do is turn my plotter on. The other thing I want to do is make sure that it's on scatter. So here you have like a connected graph. Here you have like a bar graph, a box plot, and all that. But what I want to do is go to scatter and make sure the first one is selected. Okay? And then my X list is telling me that the X values are coming from list 1. And the Y values are coming from list 2, so your calculator does that. And the mark just allows you to change the mark. So maybe you want to put all pluses there, or maybe you want to put dots or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So now that I have my plotter on and I have all my data entered correctly, I'm going to go to zoom 9, because that's like zoom statistics. If you have a TI-89, then your method will be different. You may want to YouTube it to find out how you actually do a regression, or how you get your data to show. And if not, then you can come by and then I can help you with that. It's been a while since I've used the TI-89. Okay, so what you have is your plot, and so you can see that not really linear, it seems to be more curved, and so as we saw with the Excel graph, that I think that this one is exponential. So that's the type of regression that I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to Stat, and I'm going to go to Calc, and then what this is going to do is going to give me my line. It's not going to actually give it to me on the graph, but it's going to give me the variables for the line. Okay, so I want an exponential regression in my case. Yours may not be exponential, it may be linear, it may be quadratic, everyone's will be different. Okay, so exponential regression is 0, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I have L1 and L2, and so I'm going to keep hitting enter until I get to calculate. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and calculate it, and so now all of my values came up. So I can see here that it gives me in the normal exponential form of an equation, a times b to the power of x. So I'm just going to copy these values down. So I'm going to put them here. So a was equal to, in this case, it was 7039. Okay, a big difference from what we got with Excel. And then b was actually equal to 1.06. Yeah, it looks like 1.06. Okay, so that's A and B, and then R, that just tells you how well the line that the calculator created corresponds to the data, and so it has a correlation coefficient of 0.97. Well, perfect correlation is 0.1, so exponential is actually quite well correlated to our data. Okay. All right, so now we have our equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these values. So remember that my equation is actually y is equal to, let's go ahead and type it, 7039 times 1.06, and then raised to the power of x. So that's the equation that I'm going to put in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to y equals and type that equation into the y editor to make sure it fits over my line. So what I'm going to type is 7039, open parentheses, 1.06, close parentheses, to the power, raised to the power of x. So that's going to give me my exponent. And so now I'm going to go back to graph, and so what it'll do is graph that equation over my line. So for any numbers that you have to predict into the future, maybe 10 years after your projected graduation date, you'll figure out how many years that is from whatever date you're starting your historical data from. And so you can find any value, okay? So it'll allow you to find any value. So this is your equation, that's what you would put in your report. So notice how this equation is much better than the one that we got from Excel. That equation was not a very good equation. So this is something that you can actually understand. And it also matches your graph. If you have the software where you can actually copy the screen from your calculator, that's fine. If you don't, then just use the Excel to plot the data, but your actual trend line and what you use to do your further calculations will actually come from your calculator. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to project out, let's say I was expecting to finish in 2025 or something like that. So if I was going to finish all of my schooling in 2025, assuming that you're starting, I guess if you're a sophomore, you'll be starting in 2019. That's actually quite a while. Let's project out to, let's assume that you're going to start in 2018. You're going to start university in 2018. So if that's the case, then you're going to project out 4 years. So that would be 2022. And so what I would do is I can find any value here. I can actually find the x value. I can take it and go back and get that equation and substitute x here. And so, or I could just use my graph and go second trace. Remember how we find values on the calculator. And so I want the value of 22, right? So that would be the value 22 in the calculator. And I put one too many 2. So notice that you wouldn't want to put in 2022. That would kind of be annoying because it's going to shift your graph all the way from 0 and add 2,000 unnecessary tick marks to your graph. Okay, so we have 22. Uh-oh, it doesn't work. I probably have to turn my plotter off. So since I have my equation, if I'm going to try to find values, I probably have to turn this plotter off up here. So the way you turn your plotter off is you're going to right arrow up to plot 1, hit enter, and turn it off. Okay, so now let's try it again. So second trace, and value 1. Nope. Okay, it's graphing it again without the tick marks there. And so that I'm looking for 22. So x value of 22. And so I'm going to hit enter. Uh-oh, why is it not going there? 222. Not sure why, but if that happens, if it doesn't work, and you don't want to spend time trying to figure it out because it's such a small part, then just go ahead and put the value in. So 7039, and then times 1.06, close parentheses, raised to the power of 22. And so what that will do is actually give me the value. Okay, so it gave me 25,365. So that is what is expected to be so many years into the future. Okay, or maybe you have to calculate by the time you're going to start, which for everyone that will be different depending on your age and your current grade level. All right. Okay, so hopefully this helped you with regressions, and you can also use the same format for your salaries and project your salaries out to whatever value. If you want to find out where an actual value is, remember that you can always take this equation and set it equal to the value that you're looking for. If you're trying to find out the if you're trying to find out the x value and they give you the y value, you can always take this equation, set it equal to the y value, and use logarithms in order to solve it. All right, I hope this video has helped you. If you have any questions, please stop by and see me. Best wishes on your project, and see you in the next video.